Happy. I'm so glad that it's all completely gone and out of my life because all it was the majority of the time was misery.
Tony Mitchley and his 2 roommates left Kids of Bergen County after a total of 7 years there. Now they share an apartment in Fort Lauderdale and a complete distrust of Miller Newton. Tony and Jeff Skolny are former clients of Kids. Alexis Stadnow is a former staffer. All 3 maintain that sanctioned physical abuse is a matter of course at Kids.
There were 2 brothers that were in the program. They did not want to be there. They were rebellious. One night we took them out into the intake room just to rough them up. I mean, we threw them around, flung them around, but I was told by the higher staff, you have to do that, you know. Dr. Newton says it has to be done, it has to be done. And if I don't want to do it, something's wrong with me. I got 2 guys grabbing me, and, you know, all I do is defend myself, and the next thing I know, my head's gushing blood. I passed out. I had to be rushed to the hospital.
Never had any serious injuries.
What about what happened to Tony Mitchley?
You know, I can't, under federal law, comment on any individual.
But Mitchley's hospital records state that he was bleeding from the scalp and his vision was blurred after being dropped on the head during a rap session. A year later, Tony, a legal adult, left the program. For good, he thought.
I had left. I had been gone for a month. And I was riding a bicycle, and another staff member jumped me and physically fought me, trying to bring me back. This is Drew Gigante and Tony Kazakowicz.
Has this program ever attempted to bring back an adult who's left?
No, this program has not.
What about Tony Kazakowicz? Tony Kazakowicz, he's a staff member, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He was arrested, and Kazakowicz's arrest report confirms Tony Mitchley's story. Stopped their vehicle, then proceeded to grab and remove him from his bike. They physically restrained him. Their intentions were to return him to the program.
All right. You have something I've never seen. I know that there was a tussle, that there was a charge, it was dropped.
Do you know why it was dropped?
I have no idea.
Did Dr. Newton ask you to talk to Tony Mitchley?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. Then he asked myself and the staff member who was involved in this to go back and try to get this guy to please not press charges.
I have no knowledge of that.
Christie says Newton not only had knowledge of the deal, but that he himself confirmed it over the phone to Mitchley.
And the deal we finally made with him is, we swear we will never take you back at Kids if you swear you will never press charges against this program.
Across America on a San Diego beach, sailor Larry Clay and his wife Cindy tell a story similar to Tony Mitchley's. Only theirs involves another kids program in El Paso, Texas, one of a growing network of clinics with staff trained by Miller Newton. Larry was a client of the Texas clinic until he ran away.
I ran from the program. What they do is they lock you up in the room at night, and I snuck out of the window and ran down the street in my underwear.
He had lost 20 to 25 pounds, and he looked really bad. Mentally, they just messed him up bad.
My name's Larry, I'm 17. I've done these drugs for a year and a half, and no, I don't believe I have a drug problem.
This is Larry Clay about a year ago, when we first began filming at Kids of Bergen County. What we didn't know at the time was that Larry was brought here against his will. A legal adult in Texas, he had fled the El Paso program, only to be chased down by his parents and a Kids graduate, put on a private plane, and flown to New Jersey.
It was just the same thing, almost exactly the same 5 phases. The steps on the wall, no TV, no radio, no nothing, no going outside. Except the people there, since the program was older, a lot of the people looked a lot worse.
The only thing I know is that a young man by the name of Larry Clay arrived here with his own parents who sought to admit him to treatment.
He'd been taken against his will.
I did not know that.
But Clay's Texas lawyer had no trouble figuring it out, and he sent the FBI to Bergen County with a subpoena to get Clay released. Since then, the Texas Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse has revoked the operating license of Kids of El Paso. Commissioner Bob Dixon explains why.
Well, it's obvious from our findings that that the administration out there has not operated a treatment program within the law of the state of Texas. And the violations that we found when we investigated were overwhelmingly violations of civil rights and safety and health, and people being held against their will, sleep deprivation, restraint, seclusion, things like that.
I don't know about the politics of Texas.
How can you not know? You're the president of Kids of America Incorporated. You're the national clinical director.
Right, but Kids of America doesn't own any programs.
My understanding that Kids of El Paso's, all of their policies and procedures and their treatment philosophy are a product of Dr. Miller Newton.
Let's get on with this Friday night open meeting. Love you, group.
Newton's home base in New Jersey came under scrutiny of its own in 1986. But the county prosecutor could never substantiate client claims of physical abuse. Christy Johnston says she's not surprised.
Of course the people investigated and didn't find anything. First of all, they didn't push the issue far enough or they would have found something. And second of all, we did a whole lot of doctoring up of things to get it prepared for these people when they came. Everything was a show. The files were fixed perfectly, which they hadn't been previously. The kids were not allowed to be treated like they usually are when they're there.
Now that people like Christy have begun to speak out, the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office has again taken statements from former clients and staff who have left the kids' program. Newton discounts the allegations against him as the lies of disgruntled employees and former clients, many of whom he claims have gone back on drugs. And he retains the support of a majority of parents who long ago lost trust in their children. After we interviewed Tony Mishley and Alexis Stadnow, we received letters from both their fathers telling us to ignore the young men's stories. Letters that are indicative of the trust many parents retain in the program, even if it divides them from their own children.
Happy birthday, dear Celeste.
Recently, Celeste Kulik turned 20. Her parents, John and Judy, consider that a testimony to Miller Newton.
It's really special to me because I really never thought I'd get to celebrate this birthday with her.
Me and my wife talked about it a few times. If we ever hadn't completed this program, it would have been a big void in our life. This is a great accomplishment. It's a great feeling.
I'm just happy. That's all. I look forward to next year and celebrating that one sober too.
You need somebody to lean on.
Kids gave Celeste that future, but ultimately it is the clarity of the law and not the haze of emotion by which kids will be judged. In El Paso, Kids has appealed the decision revoking its license and continues to operate while awaiting a decision due in a few weeks. And in Yorba Linda, California, the local police department is investigating complaints of mistreatment at kids of Southern California. Meanwhile, here at West 57th, dozens of letters of support for Dr. Newton have already arrived from parents with children in the program.